Hello and welcome to Americans Talk Australian Survivor. I'm Rachel.
I'm Leah.
And I'm Matt.
Thanks for joining us. We just finished episode 10 of Australian Survivor Titans vs. Rebels, and there will be spoilers ahead. Before we get started, I wanted to give a shout out to everyone who found us recently on Instagram. Our good friend Val from the show reposted our poll, and it looked like a lot of people jumped over from her story. So thank you everyone for participating in the poll, for Valeria for reposting, and everyone who followed us after. So if you're new to the show, thanks, welcome. And if you're an original listener, thanks for joining us again. So we jump in to the Titans tribe, and Kirby says that apparently Garrett was blindsided, but she thought that it shouldn't have been a blindside. She thought it was obvious.
And then Charles is talking to Aileen and said, you asked Ferris to play your idol for Garrett. So does Ferris have an idol? And Ferris says, I have an idol. Yeah. But Kelly says, I don't believe it. Once again, people don't believe that he has an idol.
And Ferris is upset. He says he's out for blood. Bones.
Yeah. He said he's going to lay low, but revenge is in his heart.
Ferris is quite upset going into this episode, which makes
we
sense.
Can understand, yeah.
Oh, and Kelly says she has an idol too.
She's still kind of playing both sides of whether or not she has an idol. Keeping the excitement alive.
But why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
What does she have to lose?
Yeah. So then we go over to the Rebels tribe. It's day 21, and Rihanna is kind of in this limbo period. She doesn't quite know what's going on. So Rihanna has voted with Caroline and Kitty in the last 2 votes, but Kitty and Caroline gave her a fake name of Bark at the last vote. So she's kind of in this weird spot where she wants to trust them, and, they're giving her fake names. Kitty and Caroline are thinking about trusting her, but they also are thinking about working with Mark again. So kind of this interesting period.
It is interesting that Caroline's thinking about bringing Mark in. You just wonder, is she just saying that just for the cameras, just to make things more exciting? It's hard for me to imagine that they would really work together.
Yeah, and especially with Rihanna voting with them the last 2 times. So every time she's been on their tribe, it seems like Rihanna is the obvious choice to bring into their alliance over Mark.
Right, and that Mark would be the logical one to get rid of next.
Well, right. Caroline says, who do I trust? She doesn't know who to trust. Which one of those?
Meanwhile, Rihanna is kind of wondering what Alex is doing. He seems to be trying to make friends with everyone.
Drinking the coconuts.
Yeah, so it seems like Rihanna and Alex are not going to be working together moving forward, even though they were both original rebels.
Yeah, what a shame.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? All right, so then we go back to the Titans.
Which is kind of unusual. Usually we don't go back to the Titans in the show. Usually it's a little bit of this camp, a little bit of that camp, and then on to the challenge.
Right. Well, this time we see Kirby, and she says, I cannot stop smiling. She's in control. She's extremely happy.
She's giddy over Garrett Lee.
Yeah, and she really has a nice smile, right? It's
Giddy.
a nice smile.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Aileen and Kelly talking, and it was just interesting, those two talking. Oh, I like you, Aileen. I've always thought the world of you.
Yeah, so Kelly's a little bit upset that Aileen put her name down at the last tribal council. And Aileen said in a soundbite that no one seems to care except for Kelly, which makes sense. I would care if my name was written down.
Yeah.
So
right. I think everybody understands that it was just like a backup,
Yeah, but I can understand why Kelly's upset. I mean, it was still her name.
Yeah, you don't ever want to see your name written down, right?
Yeah, so a little bit of tension, but it looks like they're going to be able to move forward. Aileen is kind of bragging that she didn't write Kirby's name down when she was supposed to, so she's hoping that that will be an in with Kirby. Aileen seems to be interested in kind of playing both sides maybe, or being open to playing with Kirby. And I'm wondering if it might be too late.
She does seem to want to say, hey, I could work with you, but it is, I think.
Well, the 3 of them were talking, and Aileen says, well, I wonder if I need to find an idol.
Right. So she has been looking for an idol, which is good, right?
Yeah, that's the game.
Yeah.
You need an idol.
It seems like so often people aren't looking for idols. I mean, maybe they just don't show us that, but it just seems like you need to, when you have a spare minute and you're by yourself, you might as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so Aileen's still upset about Ferris not playing the idol for Garrett, and she specifically asked him to. There's kind of a little bit of discussion. Why didn't he play his idol?
Right.
And he said, I didn't have enough time to react.
Right. He said everything happened so quickly.
But Kirby didn't seem to buy that.
Right.
So I don't think they think he has an idol.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kirby thinks he has an idol.
Right.
Because she said, well, why wouldn't you play it? And he's like, well, I didn't have time to react, which is probably true. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it is in the heat of the moment at tribal council. You're trying to put the pieces together and you don't want to waste an idol. So I can understand that he probably was thinking. And had Ferris's name been on the chopping block and then he played an idol for Garrick, that could have hurt his game. So I think he was just really thinking. So
Right.
it could have been a fair point.
Right.
And then we go to this immunity challenge. Oh, my word, is this something else?
Well, we thought it was a reward challenge.
Oh, Dave.
Right? No,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we thought it was going to be a reward challenge, but once again, there was no reward in this episode.
Yeah, that's the second time that's happened
Right.
recently.
It seemed like some of the players were caught off guard.
Surprised. Right.
Yeah, so I guess they must not get a heads up of what they're going into.
They were hoping to play for a grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, I would have been too.
Toasted.
A cheese toasty. So we get into the immunity challenge, and once again, it is quite an intense challenge. So the players have to run up in pairs over like a net beam, and then they have to climb down the net. Once they all get over the net, then they release a bunch of balls. They then have to work in the same pairs using 2 sticks to move 2 of the balls over like a balance beam with obstacle courses. So this looks really, really tough, and we see a few players struggle on that
It's almost like parallel bars, holding a ball on some parallel bars.
that aren't connected. You have to connect
Right.
them.
Right.
Then once you get over, then you throw the balls up to someone standing at the top of the tower. Then everyone who carried the balls has to hold up a pole with a net, and the thrower has to put 6 balls into the net. So very intense challenge to win.
And you miss a ball, then somebody has to keep holding up the net because you don't want to let the balls out that you already have in the net fall out, which is what happened at the beginning.
Yeah. So when we get into the challenge, we see that the Titans are really taking the lead. They're just flying over the net. They're doing well in the obstacle course. And we see Mark over on the Rebels tribe really struggle to get underneath the beam. So on the obstacle course, they have to get underneath the beam, and it looks really low. So it's understandable that it's tough, but it looked like he just stopped, like he could not figure out how to move.
Without letting go of the sticks or dropping the ball.
Yeah, we were one. Matt, you had said, I wonder why they just don't drop the ball and let someone else.
Right. Sooner or
take
later,
over.
Mark has to get under there, but maybe just another getting going again would have helped or something. It just seemed like it was going on for a long time,
Sure.
and the other team was passing them. So it just seems like maybe you just count your losses, drop it, and move on.
And unfortunately for them, they did end up making it under, and then they immediately dropped the ball.
Right.
So Alex and Mark had to go back to the beginning.
And then Aileen and Val are sitting on the sidelines, and Aileen's trying to pitch her story, like keep me around, keep me in.
Which is very smart. If you're sitting out of the challenge, make that time useful for yourself. You can't participate in the challenge, so
Right. It's a
Work
unique
ahead.
time with a one-on-one that no one's paying attention to you.
Right. So the Titans have a huge lead. Kirby's throwing balls into the net, and the Rebels, they're not even near throwing the balls.
Right.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be a blowout.
yeah. And
Not even close.
Kirby's doing great. She's getting the balls in the net, but unfortunately, when they move, the balls keep falling out. So it's kind of weird. You're throwing to like a human net. It's like very mobile, very weird. So we're all expecting the Titans to pull ahead and win the challenge because they're so far ahead. And suddenly the Rebels catch up.
And they have Kirby throwing,
Yeah.
who's quite athletic.
So somehow the Rebels catch up and we're thinking, all right, well, whatever. They're still in it. They're still trying. And Jonathan even says, you haven't lost it yet or something like that. And we're all sitting at home like, yeah, right. It's pretty clear. And then Jaden gets the balls and he starts throwing. And the next thing we know, they've won the challenge.
Yeah, I don't know. That was so
Right.
fast. Aiden just unbelievable. Boom, 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 boom.
It was like Jaden was an NBA basketball star with 3-point shots, but it was amazing that he did it all in
Yeah.
a row. Didn't miss one.
I feel like Jaden was just having fun. He's just there to throw balls and see what happens.
Right.
And I think Kirby was really thinking about what the vote means tonight and how she has to win. So I'm wondering if there's a little bit of difference with like pressure and
Sure.
thoughts going into it. Jaden knows that he's safe because they need him until the merge. So
Right, to
kind of
lift
a
things,
different,
yeah.
a little bit
Right.
different in perception.
He doesn't seem concerned, right?
Yeah, so we were shocked to find out that the Titans had lost the challenge and the Rebels had won.
Yeah.
Sending the Titans back to Tribal Council.
Right. Again.
Yeah.
So it just seems like every week or every episode, they just keep going back.
Yeah.
Is this the third one in a row?
I think the third one maybe? Or no,
Yeah.
maybe only the second.
Okay.
Because I think Sarah went home before on the Rebels
all right.
tribe. But yeah, but very interesting to see the fight of Ferrets versus Kirby come back for round 2.
Right.
So we're back on the Titans beach, and Kirby with the original Titans, Charles and Val, are kind of talking about, do we do a 3-3-3 split? Valeria has this good idea. She's really getting in there with this strategy. She's like, we'll put 3 on Aileen, 3 on Ferris, and then whatever 3 they vote for, regardless of an idol, we'll do a revote. So makes sense, very smart.
Right, because then it comes down and everybody has to vote for one of those 3, and then they can choose who they're going to vote for, and there's no chance.
And then we kind of flush an idol.
Right.
And meanwhile, while they're speaking, Aileen keeps trying to go and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
Right.
Charles was like, give us a second.
We need 20
Give us a
seconds
second,
more.
yeah.
Or something he said.
It was very awkward.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird because typically it's a pretty good strategy to just walk up and be present. We saw King George do that all the time.
Yes.
Even Boston Rob never letting anyone be alone.
Right.
So it's like a strategy that's been well proven in the past. And that's what Aileen's doing. She's just walking up, and we see Charles turn her away. So it's kind of weird. Typically, it seems like people are really polite, and they just kind of change the conversation.
Right.
And Charles, as a lawyer, he seems to be very okay with saying, we need some time. We'll
What
chat
would
with
George
you later.
do? I think
He would say, well, I'm here now.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah, George would not have left. No, he would not have.
So there's something to learn for future players, right?
Yeah, just say no.
I'm here.
But yeah, definitely awkward for Aileen to kind of try
Right.
to be in the group.
Oh, yeah, I understand. I mean,
So
I think
me-
we all would turn away, right?
Yeah,
Somebody
like,
said,
oh,
yeah.
I guess we'll leave. But
So then Aileen is talking to the 3,
she finally gets a chance.
and they say,
They finally bring her in.
why don't you be a double agent? We want you to find out if Ferris really does have an idol or not.
Because they ask her, has she seen it? And she
Right.
says no.
No. And she came up with a plan. If my hair's up one way or hair's down, if my hair's down, he has an idol. But they want to make sure she has seen it. And, she was truthful. She said, no, I haven't seen it.
Right.
So she says that she's a little bit nervous about being like a flipper or a double agent, but she seems to be going along with the plan. I think Aileen realizes that she's in the minority and she has to do something to not be picked off. So she's willing to kind of play both sides a little bit in order to be in the good graces of the majority.
I forget, when Ferris found his idol, did he show it to anyone?
I don't remember.
No, he
had that
told everyone.
key.
I think he went back and told
them,
everybody.
yeah. He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
I found an idol. Right?
It was during a reward, so everyone was eating.
Right.
And he ran off, found it, and then came back and
Right. He wasn't that
whispering it to
interested in the
everyone.
food. So that
But
he
the
went,
key, we still haven't heard any more about that key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just gone.
Well,
because
that's
the box
weird.
was opened and
But he has the key. He doesn't know it's been opened, but...
So meanwhile, they go to the an ocean scene, and they're calling themselves the 3 Beans, the ode.
The original Titans are kind of the 3 beans. They've made it through. And then we see that Winna remembers that he has an idol. He said he thinks he kind of forgot about it.
Right.
It's been so long.
I mean, most people would
17 days or something?
Yeah, most people would not even have a second forget that they have an idol. That's
Right.
such a big play. But he's like, I don't know.
Hasn't even thought about his
Right.
idol until right now. But yeah, Winna and Jaden both seem to have a very relaxed approach to the game, and they're just enjoying life, hanging out in the ocean, forgetting the strategy. So it makes sense why they had aligned over on the original Titans, and it's good to see Winna just having fun. So
Right.
luckily, he did not forget that he had an idol today. He was able to remember, and
Ferris was talking to him and saying, listen, you have to think long term. Kirby's running the show. And, long term, it's not good for you.
the problem is, though, either way they go, they would be voting with a very strong player. Ferris or Kirby are both out to win, So I feel like what Ferris is pitching, while it does make sense, the alternative of then working with Ferris is also not great.
Well, he doesn't buy what Ferris has to say anyway, So, and then he talks to Ferris, says the only person he trusts is Raymond. He wants to trust Aileen, but he's not 100% sure he can.
So he really seems to have a great sense of the game because it's the truth. Aileen is sort of starting to play both sides. She's starting to get, integrating herself with the majority. So he understands what's going on, which is great.
He's observing it, right.
And then we go back to the water, and Scotty's trying to talk to Raymond and telling him, he should vote with us.
Yeah, so it's interesting that Raymond seems to have cemented himself with Ferris's alliance with his votes, and in the same way that Aileen has, but they're open to working with Raymond. I think because he's he's less threatening, he's good friends with Kelly, they've known him for longer, or I guess they've known him the same length he came with Aileen, but I don't know, it's interesting that they're so open to working with Raymond instead of Aileen.
I think he doesn't seem to be scheming and making plans.
Yeah,
right?
I think Aileen's such a good, she is showing that she's a very, very good player. Raymond could be a good player. We just don't know it, but he's very under the radar.
Right.
So Aileen is more of a threat that way because everyone sees she's on top of the game like Ferris and Kirby. They're all three extremely intelligent players.
Yeah, but it's too bad for Aileen because you see her trying to get in there and then they just kind of offer it to Raymond. So it's frustrating to watch it in her viewpoint. So then we move on and we're kind of seeing who everyone's going to vote for. And Ferris...
Well, Ferris is talking to Kirby and he says, you know what? Once we hit the merge, you're not going to have the numbers. You should stick with us. And she's not buying it.
Right.
Yeah, Ferris kind of goes in with an olive branch saying, let's work together. And we were all cheering at home watching. We think that would be a great use of their combined strategic power.
Yeah, because the three beans are going to go back to their friends.
Sure.
They're not going to be helping these guys. Kirby, they might bring Kirby along, but she'll be at the bottom of the list, right?
I don't think she's going to stand for that.
Well, no, but if she doesn't have the numbers, I just think keep your original tribe.
Right. So then before we head to tribal, Aileen puts her hair down as her double agent signal saying that she has seen the idol when actually she hasn't seen the idol.
Which is very interesting. Yeah, she's kind of lying, but she said she just wants to make sure that they see her as an ally or someone that can bring something to the team.
Sure, that she's actually with them.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense. Had you kept her hair up, they would have been like, well, then did you not do what we were supposed to do, or did you...
It'll be interesting if that comes back, like when we come back in the next episode. Will they bring that up, or is that just a one-and-done kind of thing?
Probably.
Right.
Well, the whole episode has been a very good episode, very exciting, but nothing is like Tribal. It is fantastic.
You're like a promo for the show.
Well, it was fantastic. It was like the George versus, remember last year we had the George Tribal.
George versus Simon Tribal.
That was a good Tribal. Well, this is right up there, I'd have to say. So we showed the three beans, and Charles, I have to say, and Valeria are kind of mean. They're showing that they're mean, I thought. Very personal.
Charles is very talkative in this episode.
Yeah.
I just thought they were getting too personal for me.
I think they were getting too confident in their position in the game because, so we start out with Aileen kind of saying, I've been really pitching this Rebel strong. I really think it would be a good idea. And then Val and Charles turned to her and they're like, well, we thought we would work with you. Never mind. You just showed that you're not actually willing to work with us. So that's it. So I think that they're just getting to be too confident.
They told her she was no longer welcome.
Yeah. I don't know.
And that's just...
And then Valeria's talking about Ferris not being a good leader. She said he tries to speak, and she said, don't interrupt me. Then he tries to speak, and he says, don't interrupt me. And then at the very end, she says to Ferris, thank you, master.
Right.
I thought that was kind of rude.
Right.
I mean, from the outside, it doesn't look like he's being like that. Now, maybe while you're in it, maybe it does seem like he's that pushy. I don't know.
She's living with him 24 hours a day, so you don't know, and we just see little bits and pieces.
Yeah, so there's definitely a very clear divide between the OG Titans and Ferris and Aileen. There's a lot of tension going on at Tribal. We have no idea where the votes are going to go, how everything's going to shake out. And then JLP drops a bombshell on us. He says, well, we're here to vote, but not yet. So it turns out that tonight we have to earn the vote. So that means that we're going into a challenge, and it's an individual challenge. If you win, you get a piece of paper to vote. you earn your right to vote, and you are safe at the tribal council. You cannot be voted for.
And only 3 people get this.
Right.
So it totally changes the landscape of the vote. We have no idea what's going to happen. We're thinking, who's the best at challenges? We know Ferris is good at challenges. This could save him tonight. We know Kirby's really good at challenges as well. This could save her. So there's a lot happening.
One thing I knew is that Aileen is going to get one of those spots because she is a determined woman, and you could see it in her face. She
Right.
was going to get this.
Right.
And oh my gosh. Well, go on and talk about the challenge. What did they have to do?
So we leave tribal council. We go to the dark challenge. It's always a little bit mysterious.
Yes.
The sun has gone down. It's
Fire.
firelight. So the players all have to build a narrow rectangle with a bunch of blocks. And with that rectangle, they then have to stand back quite a bit of space and toss beanbags through the rectangle and onto a barrel. And they have to stick on the barrel. They have to get 3 beanbags in order to win their spot in the next episode and also in their right to vote. So it's pretty tough. Everyone keeps knocking down their rectangle, then they have to go back and build it. So it's really very cyclical. It's very difficult, but right out of the gate, Aileen gets all 3 and she's done.
I mean, it was just incredible.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. Wow. Oh my gosh, she's done.
I don't think anyone else had a beanbag on their barrel before Aileen won. So that was incredible. She was determined and she did it. So that was awesome. And then we see a lot of ties coming up. Everyone's got like one.
You know, Charles, Winna,
Right.
Yeah.
They're building up a lot of suspense right there.
Kirby.
Yeah, so
Ferris.
Kirby snags it as the second person to be able to vote. So now we're thinking, okay, Aileen and Kirby are at odds. So this is interesting. Whoever gets that third spot really determines how the vote is going to go.
home? Right.
And so there's a lot of suspense. So Charles has 2, Winna has 2, I think. Ferris has 2, and we're like, oh my gosh, who's going to get it? Who's going to get it?
Knocking
And then,
down
Yeah,
frames and-
everything. The frames kept falling. Meanwhile,
Right.
Raymond's throwing, and he keeps hitting his frame. Kelly got a bag on.
yeah, so it's very, very intense. And finally, Ferris gets his third beanbag, and he is safe tonight.
Wow, unbelievable. So
Right.
Aileen and Kirby and Ferris, 3 top players on the tribe.
And this really impacts the vote because we know that Kirby was a target and Ferris was a target, and Aileen was kind of in some hot water as
Sure.
well. So this
she
is
could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very easily.
So this is a really interesting situation that now all 3 are safe, and they sort of have to work together to determine who goes home. So we go back to tribal. Everyone's sitting down. They're kind of figuring out what's going on. JLP says there's a lot of ways this could go, and Kirby says, well, can you tell me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the ways?
Yeah, so her head is spinning. Everyone's trying to figure out what to do. And Aileen, always on top of it with a plan, she whispers to Ferris right away, you and I vote Charles. So all of a sudden, that's set. And then we go over to the OG Titans who are sitting together, and Winna whispers to Val, put the votes on me because I have an idol. So I don't think he's even told anyone that he has an idol right
don't
now. So
think
this
so.
is
Right.
kind of a big deal to share.
Right. And then he'll play it for himself.
Yeah.
So then he kind of launches into kind of like a, I don't know, like a little speech saying, I'm not a good person to play with.
Yeah, you originally wanted to get rid of me, Ferris. I'm behind everything.
And I wouldn't even work with you. Even
Right.
if we had the opportunity, I wouldn't work with you.
But I think it was too,
Over the top.
yeah.
It was really obvious that he wanted the votes on him.
Spreading it on thick.
I think the strategy I would have used if I were Winna would probably have been to say, oh, I really think Val or I really think Charles is not a good person to work with. I don't want to work with them. You shouldn't want to work with them, and get the votes on someone else so then he can play the idol for them. If you try to get the votes on yourself, there's always an ulterior motive. It's never genuine.
Right. After the things that Val said, I think you should vote for her because she was so mean or something like
Yeah.
that. Right.
Yeah, I
There's no
think-
chance that she'll ever bend. I would, but something like that.
Yeah, so then Winna whispers over to Kirby and he says, I have an idol, who do I play it for? And Kirby says Charles, which is really interesting because we had just heard Aileen tell Ferris that they're voting for Charles. So
Did
we
she
know.
hear that?
I don't know. Did they whisper it to her? Because she had even said at the beginning, she said, okay, you guys tell me who to vote for, I'll vote with them. I'll vote
Oh,
with
yeah,
you."
she threw the 3 beans underneath the,
Yeah, she said, I'll vote for an original Titan.
Right.
You just tell me who to vote for.
Right.
So I don't know if they did whisper it to her or like how she knew it was Charles, or she just has really good intuition or a good guess. But the plan right now that we're seeing is that the two original, or Aileen and Ferris are going to vote for Charles. Wynn is going to play his idol for Charles, and whoever Kirby picks goes home.
Yeah, so we're thinking, oh no, it's going to backfire in their face.
And Kirby.
Oh no, after all this.
Right, Kirby's going to get the final say.
Right, Kirby wins again.
Right.
So it's very nerve-wracking, extremely nerve-wracking. And I'm like,
Very
I didn't want to watch. Like, when is going to happen? We had to tell ourselves that it is only a game. And it's been recorded already.
It's all just for fun.
Yeah, but it was stressful.
So we go to the vote, and it turns out that we have, we're shocked. So before they read the votes, Winna stands up and he says, I think I do have an idol. He fishes it out of his bag. Everyone's like, oh, put it on. Looks so good. And he walks up and Jonathan says, you have to take that off if you want to play it. And he decides to play it for himself. And it's kind of a ripple within the tribe.
Yeah,
Kirby's like, I told you to play for Charles.
Right.
Charles is looking shocked. He's looking upset. So a lot of mixed feelings about this play.
And then we're thinking, oh my gosh.
He just sent Charles home, we're thinking.
Right.
So then Jonathan reads the first vote, and it's for Winna, and it doesn't count. We're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that.
No.
That's crazy that he did pick the right person. Then we see that Kirby voted for Raymond, which makes sense because that's the only person in that alliance that isn't safe, so makes sense.
Perfectly.
And then the third vote is for Charles.
Woohoo! Aileen, I believe Aileen came up with that plan. Good job, Aileen. Or maybe Ferris did, but whoever came up with that, I even said that. Did I not say they should split the vote?
You thought of it.
A three-way split, yep.
Yes.
So what they must have realized with Winna's speech that he had an idol or someone had an idol, so they had decided if they split the votes, then it doesn't
Kirby
really
doesn't
matter.
decide
Kirby doesn't decide because then there's a revote. And that's exactly what happened. So now we can only vote for Raymond or Charles. All three of them vote again. Kirby sticks with Raymond, and of course, Ferris and Aileen send Charles home. So it's too bad that we weren't able to see more of Charles. I feel like he hasn't really had a chance to play too independently at this point in the game.
We didn't hear much from him leading up to today.
Yeah, so too bad to see Charles go home so soon. But wow, what a move from Aileen and Ferris. They really know how to play the game.
It was something out. And they flushed the idol.
Yeah.
That they didn't even know was there.
Right.
Yeah,
But
so
the
that
idol
was
was
awesome.
flushed.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ferris still has his.
Yeah.
Right. He still has
what is it, day
20, 21, 22.
Yeah, and he still has that idol. Unbelievable.
So,
and he's told everybody.
Right.
Yeah. And they still don't even believe him.
Yeah.
It is crazy because I thought for sure he had to play it at this tribal. As we're watching the show, you're like, he has to play it. He has to play it or he's going to go home.
Right.
Right.
Well, it was just a fantastic episode, splitting the vote, the twist in the game that only 3 players are going to vote tonight. I mean, it was just a fantastic tribal.
Right.
And it was lucky for Ferris that it happened on the day he was about to maybe get some votes or have to play his idol. So an excellent tribal. Let us know what you thought about it on Instagram at ATA Survivor or TikTok at ATA Survivor. You can also send us an email at ataustraliansurvivor@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 475-4podcast. And tell us what you thought about this tribal council, who you would have voted for if you were Kirby. Would you have flipped and kind of shown your alliance with Ferris and Aileen, or would you have stuck with, your original set and voted for Raymond?
And also, were you biting your nails as I was during the episode? I was just so into it. It was crazy.
You were nervous.
Very nervous, very nervous.
Well, I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah, it's another fantastic tribal council, a great episode, and we can't wait to see the fallout that it brings tomorrow night. So we'll see you tomorrow. Don't forget to follow us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.